Hey everyone, it's Ryan here with my reactions for WrestleMania 38, which took place during the weekend. So it's currently super early, 1:30 in the morning for Wednesday, so technically Raw has happened as well. I'm going to go over some stuff on that. I was originally going to do a video yesterday, but I was kind of tired after work and just wanted to relax for the day. And I was talking to some friends, so didn't really get around to it. Like I said, WrestleMania took place last weekend, the 2nd and 3rd of April. Its tagline was the most stupendous two-night event in WrestleMania history, because I'm guessing Vince McMahon discovered the word stupendous. I'm basically going to go over the matches, and basically from what I can remember of them. I remember night one definitely felt like it dragged towards the end, but I think looking back on it, that was probably just due to I worked that day, so I was just tired watching it, and it was 4 hours long. So night one, very first match. By the way, they had two pre-show matches that were both 2 hours. Nothing happened on them. Like, it was just talking, recap, talking, recap. Yeah, just bollocks like that. That pretty much you didn't need it. Like, I guess you're trying to sell the show, but they could have at least made it more entertaining. So yeah, the Usos defending the SmackDown Tag Team Championships against Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. This one could have been an exciting opener. Unfortunately, I think at one point Rick Boogs. So basically, he has one of the Usos on his shoulder, the other one charges at him, so he lifts him too, and as he does it, his leg buckles. And then I thought it was just them playing off a knee injury. Turns out it might be legitimate. Apparently, he's torn something, so he might be out for a few months, unfortunately, which is a shame because Rick Boogs has definitely been one of the best things on SmackDown. Basically Usos retain after 6 minutes 55. Because of that, they basically had to rush the ending, so it was a bit unfortunate. Second match in, Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. I didn't do a predictions video because me and my friends didn't do predictions. I think it would have been easier just to enjoy WrestleMania as it was, rather than just feel like matches be disappointing because the person we wanted to win didn't win. I remember, I was trying to discuss with my friends before. I think I got talked out of it as well. I was trying to remember if, normally when there's a really good Rumble, the Mania that follows isn't normally that good, or if it's a bad Rumble, then it could be a really good WrestleMania. And with this year's Rumble being one of the worst I've ever watched, spoiler alert for this WrestleMania, this is probably one of the best I've ever watched. The whole story to this one is, obviously, Drew McIntyre's been going after Corbin. Corbin's been having Madcap Moss and company attack McIntyre. Happy Corbin hits the end of days and Drew McIntyre kicks out. He's basically the first person ever to kick out the... God, I really turned to WWE with the first time ever thing there. He's the first person to kick out the end of days. They address how protected the end of days was. The fact that Corbin's been on the main roster for about 5 years and no one has kicked out of it. So that was the big moment of the match. Basically, on paper, it's sort of this could have easily just been a SmackDown match or a other pay-per-view, but it's the moment itself of the end of days being kicked out of. McIntyre does hit the Claymore, wins. Later, Madcap Moss tries to get involved. McIntyre gets his sword and he slices the rope, and basically the whole two of the ropes break. It was a pretty cool visual. They put a weird sound effect for it, like the sword swing for some reason. That's pretty much how it ends. Match 3, The Miz and Logan Paul versus Rey and Dominic Mysterio. Rey and Dom wearing these outfits that basically Rey had Mexico and Dominic had the US flag, I believe. And basically it's sort of a throwback to Eddie Guerrero with, I can't remember who he was tagging with, but basically in WCW he basically had that. Logan Paul playing the bad guy very well, probably just because he's genuinely hated by a lot of people. He actually was really good in the ring. Credit to him. He put the work in. Basically it comes to the end. The Miz hits Skull Crusher finale on Rey, I believe, and gets the win. So Logan and Miz win, which is a surprise, but then again it's sort of the celebrity match. You'd probably expect the celebrity to win. Interesting thing that happens after the match though. As they're celebrating, Miz, basically his expression changes. He looks over towards Logan Paul and hits him with a skull crushing finale. Maybe turning face? Or it's just the running gag that they're going to do for WrestleMania is Logan Paul gets his comeuppance because people like that. It was weird because Looking back at it, especially what happens on Raw, it feels like it wasn't a face turn. He just did it just because. I think apparently the reason he says is basically he just didn't want Logan stealing a spotlight, essentially. Logan Paul did very well. Weird with The Miz turning on him afterwards, considering they've only had one match together. Next, this for me was probably match of the night. I think maybe like from there on I was probably a bit worn out after it. So Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. This match was really good. A lot of back and forth. The story for this one has basically been built since SummerSlam. Probably not intended, but I'm glad that they managed to make it work. The whole Becky returns at SummerSlam to be Bianca's surprise opponent, beats her within 20 seconds, and then Bianca now has to work her way back up, whereas Becky is basically afraid that Bianca's actually legitimately going to beat her for the title. A lot of hard hitting in this. There is one moment where Becky looks like she's going for like a Molly go round, like the front flip into a senton, and she gets it wrong, and her boot just hits Bianca right in the eye. And you can look on her Instagram, and it's like the biggest black eye ever. Like on Raw, she shows up on Raw with it as well, and you can just see it's this big, because it's just boot straight to the eye. Again, like I said, a lot of back and forth, a lot of new moves, a lot of kickouts, escaping submissions. Eventually, Bianca does hit the KOD on Becky Lynch, and she wins the title. So Bianca Belair in 2 WrestleManias has won the SmackDown Women's Championship in the main event of Night 1, and then in Night 1 for this one, she's won the Raw Women's Championship. And I remember seeing this on Twitter at some point, and it's quite interesting to see. So it's basically Bianca the first WrestleMania, like with a surprise win, like finally win the title, and then the second one where she's a bit more composed, to basically Bianca now knowing she's that girl, essentially, like she is that level of like fighter, essentially. Like the first one took her by surprise, second one she's like, yeah, I knew I could do this. Like I said, it was a really, really good match. I'd definitely recommend you watch it. Like I said, for me it was match of Night 1. Both of them doing really well. Obviously Becky Lynch pretty much hasn't lost a step. I'll be interested to see where Becky goes from here. Like I said, it was a really, really good match. The next match is Seth Rollins' Open Challenge. The build up to this has been so bizarre. It's basically Seth's been trying to get on WrestleMania. He's been trying to go for the tag titles. That failed. He tried to beat AJ to get his spot against Edge. That failed. Basically tried to hold up the show. Didn't work. Eventually, Vince calls him into the office, and Vince says, "Oh, well, if you wanted a match, you'd just ask me." And it's like, "Oh, okay." But I'm going to pick your opponent though. Seth's in the ring waiting for about 3 minutes or so. Then there's a lot of pyro, the lights go out, and then after a while you just hear wrestling has more than one royal family. And then Kingdom by Downstate plays, and it's Cody Rhodes. He's full on American Nightmare Cody Rhodes that he was in AEW. He's not the Cody Rhodes that used to be in WWE, which that's a pretty cool touch. I do like that they let him keep the character, keep the music. Because it's probably the more familiar Cody Rhodes, and it can definitely show that it's not the same Cody Rhodes that was there before. The reaction for him was massive. I've seen a lot of people going, "Oh, it's one of the best returns at Mania ever." It's not that high up. It was really good. Maybe recency people are seeing it that way. I feel like I don't know if they toned down the crowd or something, because it wasn't proper as loud, camera shaking, all that stuff like we've seen with some stuff before. But like I say, it's great to see Cody Rhodes back. There was a whole rumour for ages if he was showing up or not. They're trying to build it up. I think that's why they saved it for the night, because it was a whole, they wanted to actually have the surprise rather than announce it before WrestleMania. They do have a really good match, but at this point this is sort of where I was a bit drained. It was about 4 a.m. when this took place, and it went on for 21 minutes and 40 seconds. It was the longest match of the night. I get with those two and their talent and their level that you can go for that long, but the fact the build-up was just Seth trying to get a match at Mania, I don't get why that was the longest match of the night. But like I said, a lot of back and forth between them. A lot of the whole them taking shots of each other from the other company and all this other stuff. There's a nice bit where Cody hits 2 crossroads and then starts doing Dusty's punches and then hits the 3rd crossroads for the win. yeah, like I said, it's really cool to see Cody back. His promo on Raw the following night was really good as well. I definitely recommend you go watch that. Next match, Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Ronda returned at the Rumble to win. She eliminated Charlotte last. This to me is sort of weird. It's sort of like Charlotte basically putting herself as the champion in the Rumble. I feel like if Ronda was to have the match with Charlotte at WrestleMania, she didn't need to win the Rumble to do it. If she just threw Charlotte out, then that would have been enough. But I think it sort of plays the same with the whole Drew and Brock thing from 2 years ago. Like, if Drew was the one that eliminated Brock and then someone else won later on, then you have Drew versus Brock set up. But I feel like to legitimize the whole Drew McIntyre thing, he had to win the Rumble. There's basically a lot of hard hitting in this one. There's story to it as well. Like, I think this is sort of like where the mind was definitely on like a not like I tapped out at this point, but like definitely the end of the match was like a what is this? The whole story to it is they're so inconsistent with what they're going with. It's either Charlotte's not tapped out in 2 years, to Charlotte's never tapped out, to Ronda's only got one tap out, like one submission move, to Ronda now has 2 submission moves, to Charlotte going, now I have multiple submission moves. Throughout the match they're basically trying to apply them to each other, and then Charlotte wins by pinfall. Yeah. That was literally our thoughts when we were watching it. It was literally, why would you make the whole story about submissions and not have the win be a submission? Apparently, the rumor, it's not, like, I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not going to build into it and deal with this, but apparently the rumor is Ronda walked out on Friday, whenever the Hall of Fame was, because I think she was told that she wasn't winning, and that she was going to be made to tap out, and she didn't agree, and all this other stuff. And then I think they came around to, okay, well, Charlotte's still going to win, but we'll have a win by pinfall, therefore you're protected as not being made to tap out. So, yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's true or not, just take it with a pinch of salt. But, yeah, Charlotte retains at WrestleMania, so basically, Ronda win the Rumble, didn't work, which is fine, I guess. It'll be interesting to see who Charlotte's next opponent is. And then finally, the main event, as it was, is a KO show with guest Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's a lot of talking back and forth. I think this whole segment as a whole took about half an hour. So basically, Kevin basically goes to Stone Cold. Look, he's like, okay, look, I didn't bring you out here to talk to you. I actually brought you out here to have a match with you. And basically, Stone Cold agrees to it. So now, Stone Cold has come out of retirement after 19 years, literally WrestleMania 38 and WrestleMania 19. Like, it's amazing that it's the 19th WrestleMania to the 38th WrestleMania. And they basically have a match. Like, it's like, obviously Stone Cold's limited with his moves, but he actually does like some surprising stuff. Like, he actually does a bunch of suplexes, takes the suplex on the outside, which is very surprising considering this whole neck and like knee injuries and all this stuff. Basically just goes anywhere. They start hitting each other with stuff. They go to the stage, start attacking that way. Eventually, Austin hits a stunner and wins. Celebrates in the ring. Hits Kevin Owens with a stunner again. Drinks more beer. Gets Byron in the ring and hits him with a stunner. And the sell that Byron has was great. That's night 1. Night 2. Definitely more weight for this one. First match, RK Bro, that's Randy Orton and Riddle versus the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford versus Alpha Academy, Chad Gable and Otis, in a triple threat tag team match for the Raw Tag Team Championship. And may I say, what an opening match this was. This is the ideal opening match you want. A nice multi-man match, especially multi-tag match. A lot of back and forth in this one, a lot of great moves. Montez with his amazing dives. Angelo, I think, dives out the ring at one point. Chad Gable with his amazing moonsault. One of the best things that happened in the match is, I believe, Montez is about to go for a splash, like frog splash on the top rope. Riddle comes out of nowhere, springboard top rope RKO to him, and it was amazing. Eventually, RK Bro do retain. Street Profits get their cups and basically give cups to Randy Orton and Riddle, basically pour them some drinks, and they go to celebrate. Randy at some point, I don't know where it's happened, he's basically just cut his eye like there. But yeah, they go to celebrate, and then they see Gable Stevenson, who they've promoted 3 times so far. So Oh no, they do it 3 times overall, I believe. So they have. Oh, sorry. Night 2 opens with Triple H coming out and putting his boots in the ring, basically thanking everyone, saying "Welcome to WrestleMania, enjoy the night." Essentially, it was sort of sad to see that, but at least it's a sort of nice send off in a way for Triple H. Obviously, not going out in his own terms, but at least he can actually address a crowd and a big crowd at WrestleMania. Put his boots in the ring, have it there. But yeah, after this match, they get Gable Steveson, the Olympic gold medalist or whatever he is, get him in the ring. Chad Gable then basically knocks a cup out of his hand, gets a microphone, and tells him to shush. Gable Steveson then hits him with a belly to belly, and then they all go out the ring and celebrate. Like I said, it was a really good opener. Definitely gets you hyped for the night. Second match, Bobby Lashley versus Omos. It's just a regular singles match. So Omos has basically been dominating, as he said, for several weeks, and then basically Bobby Lashley returned on the last Monday, challenged him to a match, managed to knock down Omos as well. So we're kind of thinking, is he going to be able to lift him or something in this match? Is that what they're going for? It's very slow and cloddy because it's basically 2 big people. Bobby Lashley's playing the smaller underdog. Eventually, he does hit the suplex on Omos, which was pretty cool. And then he hits the spear. Well, it's weird because he basically hits a spear from behind. Like, he goes for bouncing off the rope spear, but I don't think Omos turns around quick enough, so he hits him in the back and then basically gets him up again and hits him in the front for a spear. Bobby Lashley wins, which was pretty cool. Like I said, it's again, sort of like the Drew and Corbin match. It's sort of to calm down after the first match, and also it's more about the moment itself rather than the match. Not too bad for what it was. Third match, definitely enjoyed this one. Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn in an anything goes match. Straight away, haluva kick from Sami Zayn. Doesn't go for a pin. Wants to punish him even more. Johnny Knoxville starts fighting back a bit. Eventually, Chris Pontius comes out, starts doing this whole party boy thing in the middle of the ring to distract Sami Zayn. There's a bit as well where Sami goes on the outside and he gets the giant hand and it slaps him. Wee Man comes out, starts beating the hell out of Sami Zayn as well, which is hilarious, and then body slams him in the ring, literally everyone going, "Oh my god, it's Andre Hogan" type thing, and it was amazing because the best part was it wasn't just a straight up and slam. He holds him there, turns around like that, and then slams him down. At one point as well, Sami Zayn pulls out a table and it's got mouse traps on it. You're like, oh, he's going through it, and there's a bit where he goes up to the top rope. And basically he gets pushed by Knoxville and he properly jumps and flies into it. Gets thrown in the ring whilst he's in the corner. Johnny Knoxville's got a bag. He gets a bowling ball, throws the bowling ball into him. So basically it's all attack of the testicles. There's pliers at one point as well, straight at his testicles. He gets a taser out and basically tases Sami Zayn. And then he's got this swinging boot mechanic thing. Also kicks Zayn in the balls so he falls down. And then Johnny Knoxville pulls a giant mouse trap from under the ring, puts it in the ring, sets it up, and then basically it's meant to go off from one side. It doesn't work, so Johnny goes around the side, fixes it, almost claps him on the back of the head. Luckily he doesn't. And then it basically drops on Sami Zayn, so his arms are trapped. Knoxville lays down on him, pins him for the win. And for what it was, this was absolutely incredible to watch. You can tell they were definitely looking to just have a good time with this Mania, and they really did. It's such a bit a variety show, and I really enjoyed this match. Following this, it's a fatal 4-way tag team match for the Women's Tag Team Championships as Queen Zelina and Carmella defend against Naomi and Sasha Banks, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Natalya and Shayna Baszler. I do believe Shayna Baszler now has some form of new music. I much preferred the older one she had originally. Her NXT / main roster stuff, but I guess because that was by C Foss, they probably had to change it. I think Natalya's got a slight remix of her song as well. And then, so for this one, Liv, I believe, was dressed like Catwoman, and Rhea was dressed like Donnie Darko. Surely she should have been Batman to go with it, but I don't know. And then, like I said, this was a very solid match. There was very good spots in there. Eventually, Naomi and Sasha Banks do get the win. I think the story going into this that WWE have acknowledged before is Sasha was 0-6 at WrestleMania. So this is basically her big WrestleMania moment. And it's sort of nice to have it with Naomi as well. I don't know if they're going to do a whole oh, two people of like with like the whole two black champions thing. Like it's the first ever two black women tag champions, which I don't know it's true or not. I think technically Tamina and Nia maybe, but I don't like. But it's nice. Like it's nice for Sasha to finally get a moment, considering she's had to wait 7 years for it. I think some people were kind of hoping of being more in a singles action rather than the tag team, but yeah, it's nice. Hopefully they do something with it. They've not got a great history with the tag titles, but I feel like Naomi and Sasha maybe could do something with it. But again, there's not many tag teams there, so we'll have to see what happens. Next, it's Edge versus AJ Styles. First time I've heard Edge's new music. It's going to take a bit to get used to. I'm so used to Metalingus, but I can see why he's gone for this music. And basically what happens near the end of the match will definitely play into why he's got this sort of music now. Again, like this has basically been a dream match for like 2 years. Ever since Edge returned at the Rumble and there's a face-off with him and Styles, everyone's like, immediately, give us that now. And yeah, basically it's just them going back and forth, hitting each other with brutal moves. A lot, like kicking out a lot of finishes and signature moves. Eventually, as AJ's going for the phenomenal forearm, he looks over and Damian Priest is stood there on the outside of the ring. Doesn't cause any distraction or anything. He's just stood there watching, all in black, like very similar to what Edge is wearing. And basically, as AJ goes for a phenomenal forearm, Edge catches him midair with a spear. It was so nice. Like normally, I'm not a big fan of Edge's spears because they're very like huggy spears, but this one was really good. Yeah, eventually Edge does get the win. And basically, as he's getting up, Damian Priest gets in the ring, and Edge has a little look of concern first, and then like Priest laughs, and then Edge laughs, and then Damian gets on one knee and is basically mirroring him. They both get up and they both celebrate to the ring. So an alliance has been formed, Edge and Damian Priest. It sort of in a way can sort of be seen as long-term storytelling, because about 6 months ago, Edge was speaking to Damian Priest. He goes, "Oh, I've got this idea. Look, I'll have to talk to you about it at some point." And then, like, that was just like a random backstage segment to cut to now, where they're actually together, which is actually going to be quite nice, because I feel like to legitimize Priest, have him with someone like Edge. It would be really good. And then, the match that was cancelled on night 1, put into night 2, and lasted 1 minute and 40 seconds, was Sheamus and Ridge Holland with Butch, brackets Pete Dunne, versus the New Day, which is Kofi and Xavier Woods. Literally, minute 40, distraction, Sheamus bro kick, gets the win. Pretty much, you could have had this on SmackDown, but it's a brief calm down before the last couple of matches. And then, the nice touch they had, Kofi and Xavier Woods came out dressed like Big E, because obviously Big E's had a major injury, so unfortunately he's had to miss WrestleMania, so they've dressed like in his singlet. They're all like, basically just the same style as him. And the choice of attire they've gone for is the colours that Big E had when he won the WWE title, which was a very nice touch as well. Yeah, like I said, it was a quick nothing match. If they're going to have it this length, I don't get why it was kicked off night 1. Then, Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. Mr. McMahon was in Austin Theory's corner. I was very excited for this one, knowing what Pat's done against Adam Cole in NXT. It was pretty much more of the same, like a lot of back and forth. Also, Pat McAfee's entrance, top notch. Seven Nation Army, the most sing-along song you can think for, especially for crowds. Like coming out to that, great choice by Pat. And then Michael Cole, normally biased heel Michael Cole has been known to be like one of the worst commentators they ever had. Like biased face Michael Cole, I am very into. Just the passion he had for hoping for Pat to win was so great to see. Eventually, they my favourite spot, which they did in NXT, which they did here again, which was amazing, is they're both on the top rope. Austin Theory shoves Pat. Pat does a backflip, lands it. Austin's like, what the hell? And then he's like, oh yeah, I can do that. Immediately springboards to the top rope, straight into a superplex. Like, so smooth, really good. Eventually, Austin Theory, I think, is going for his finisher. Pat rolls off the back, gets a roll up and wins that way. And as he's celebrating, Miss McMahon's like mad at Austin Theory. And then I think Pat calls him out. And McMahon goes, oh, you want to fight, do you? He's like, slowly takes the check. Like, nah, not that. And then it basically turns around and goes, takes his jacket off, undoes his tie, uncuffs the thing, takes the shirt off. He's got this black vest top from God knows how many years ago on. And I'm like, oh my God, has this actually happened? He gets in the ring, tells the referee to ring the bell. Austin jumps Pat from behind. And yeah, it's a match. It's another match. Mr. McMahon hits a couple of clothesline. Pat gets a couple of moves in there, but Austin basically keeps causing distractions. Eventually, they get the football. I think Mr. McMahon punts it into Pat McAfee and pins him. So, in the space of 2 nights, both Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mr. McMahon have got a win at WrestleMania in 2022. Like, you know. And speaking of Stone Cold, he then comes out after... Although there's a funny bit. Austin Theory's music starts playing, and basically Mr. McMahon does a reaction like it's Stone Cold. So like it starts playing, he goes, ooh, like that. And then he's like, oh, it's just Austin's music. And then like Stone Cold's music plays, and then he goes, oh my God. He stuns Austin Theory, and Austin's sell for it is amazing. So basically he goes down, and he flies up in the air, and as he's up in the air, his legs are moving like that, like he's taking steps in the air, falls on his back, out the ring. And then it's him and McMahon in the ring. You know where it's going. He gives them some beers, they drink, but as he kicks him, McMahon immediately drops to his knees, then gets back up, and he starts falling towards the rope. Austin has to follow him. He's like, no, come back here. Does the stunner, but then like as he holds him down, McMahon's always like down on his knees. Kind of like, you know how like Linda's had like the worst stunner cell? It was basically like that. But in fairness, he is like what? I think he's 70 something. Is he like 76, I believe? So I'm not going to criticise him for not taking the stunner at 76 years old. I was just amazed he went in the ring for 5 minutes. And then Stone Cold gets Pat McAfee. They start celebrating two beers on the corner, celebrating, swigging them all. Then they have 2 in the ring, and then Stone Cold stunners Pat, and Pat sell. Oh, love it! Like as much as I love Austin's and Byron's sells of them where they flew in the air, his one was like Kurt Angle-esque. So he stuns him, and he just slowly falls back like a little timber as he's spitting beer in the air. And I was like, oh, what a sell. And as Austin's celebrating, it cuts to Pat McAfee still at ringside, and as he's on the floor selling, he's still got a beer, just going, oh, just gotta drink some more. I was like, oh, I love Pat, absolutely love him. Like, he's a guy that gets it. Then after all that, it's then the main event. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, title for title. After Brock Lesnar lost at the Rumble because of Paul Heyman's betrayal to Roman Reigns, Brock enters Rumble number 30 and he wins, so he sets this up. In the middle, he goes after Lashley's WWE Championship to try and get it back at Chamber and wins it. So not only did he win the Rumble, he's now got his championship back. So then they up the stakes for WrestleMania and do title for title. Roman's getting a bit paranoid because, like, obviously, track record shows Brock's a bit better than Roman when it comes to back and forth victories. But yeah, they both pretty much just have their standard entrances, both big. You know, like Paul Heyman does Roman's intro, Brock Lesnar does his own intro. It's pretty much what you expect from a Roman Brock match. It's just all signature moves, hard hitting, spears, F5, Superman punches, German suplexes, all that lot. There's a ref bump. At one point, I believe, like they do the Kimura and he almost pulls out the socket, so he's essentially got one arm. Whilst the ref is distracted at some point, Roman hits Brock Lesnar in the dick. He then does the backwards spear like Lashley did earlier. Like it was twice it happened. I was like, is this a new thing? Like, have I missed something? Like the backwards spear is supposed to be just as devastating as a forward spear. And as he's hitting him in the back, Brock then gets up. Another spear. 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns is your undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion. That's what I'm just going to call it. And then, yeah, pretty much what everyone was hoping for. I think if Brock beat Roman, it would have been a bit of a sour ending, considering the big deal is going to be who's going to beat Roman Reigns. Yeah, very happy that Roman's still got the titles. I'm very intrigued to see who goes after him next. They've set up quite a few, hopefully. But yeah, like I said, 2 really good nights at WrestleMania. Couple of things to point out from Raw as well. I'm going to be very brief with this, just from what I can remember of it. Miz went against Dominic, won in about a minute. Veer debuts. goes after the Mysterio, so I guess that's his first feud. Like, Veer finally came after 5 or 6 months. Also, Kevin Owens starts having a segment talking about how he, Stone Cold took him by surprise, but he had a bad back, so therefore it should be null and void. And then this music plays, and it says Ezekiel on the Titantron. And out comes Elias, without his beard, in trunks, and basically goes in the ring and goes, I'm Ezekiel. And Kevin's like, no, you're Elias. He goes, no, I'm Ezekiel. I'm Elias's younger brother. I'm just sort of like, is this like a Abyss slash, what was his name? I can't remember. But you know who I'm on about. But basically, it's like some weird split personality thing where he goes, no, I'm this guy. And it's like, no, you're this guy. He goes, no, I'm not. And then, sort of like with the whole Bray Wyatt Fiend thing originally, where Bray's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just happy Bray Wyatt. So I don't know where they're going with this, but it's bizarre, to say the least. And the fact they've immediately crapped on it by going, no, you're not Ezekiel, you're Elias. And he goes, oh, you're Elias, you're Eric, you're whatever, I don't care. Then basically Kevin Owens leaves. So I'm sort of intrigued and baffled as to what's going to go on with this Ezekiel character. Is this just going to be a one-off and then he's just going to be back to Elias? Like, immediately grows beard back out. So we'll see what happens with there. But yeah, also the big thing as well was Cody had like a really emotional promo at the beginning. You can see why, especially like in AEW, they let him have the mic quite a lot. Like he can definitely get very emotional when he needs to. Seth Rollins comes out, shakes hands with Cody. Cody says that he's going after Roman Reigns, and then I think Seth, I think AJ, and I think there may have been someone else, but they all literally went, well, I think Bobby Lashley was another one as well. He was literally like, look, you've not even been here like 24 hours. You can't just go around demanding. It's like, you've got to go behind this line. So I think they've set up a fatal 4-way or something, like it's going to be a contenders match. So that'd be intriguing to see. But yeah, like I said, I can't remember too much else from Raw. Like, nothing too much as note, just a couple of promos and stuff. I think Liv and Rhea are getting a title match against Sasha Banks and Naomi. Braun Breaker won the NXT title back off Dolph Ziggler, which I don't get why he didn't just do that NXT Stand and Deliver. But I guess Raw after WrestleMania had to have some noteworthy stuff. I think they're trying to slowly close that out, like Raw after WrestleMania being a thing, where people expect like NXT debuts and big returns and all this stuff. I think they're just trying to do it like just as regular Raws, which I'm fine with, because I think a lot of people start getting disappointed the last couple of years because nothing really happened, because they kept setting that bar too high. So basically they're trying to just lower the bar back down, so it's fine. But yeah, WrestleMania 38, what a show. Both nights. I'm so glad that from this, WWE are deciding to keep WrestleMania to 2 nights. They're doing it next year when they go to Hollywood. Well, Los Angeles, but it's going to be Hollywood. Because I think with that, I don't think you can sit through 7 hours of WrestleMania in one go, which is probably what they want. Like, splitting it into 2 sets of 4 hours or 2 sets of 3.5, absolutely fine. It's tolerable. Plus, you can sort of enjoy night 1, relax, get yourself hyped for night 2. Yeah, like I said, they were really good nights. And yeah, like WrestleMania 38, possibly, especially in recency, one of the best WrestleManias they've ever done. I think 35 could have been up there if it didn't last 7 hours. I think that's sort of what implemented the whole 2-night system. Yeah, like I said, I had a really great time watching WrestleMania. Like I said, night 1, I felt like it dragged, but looking back on it, I think that was just because I was tired from working 9 hours that day, and it did finish at 5 in the morning. Night 2 was really good. There was a lot of good matches in there. Like, some of them were like, they were fine, but they weren't bad, if you know what I mean. Like, I'd say like maybe the worst one was Sheamus and Ridge versus New Day, only because it was a minute 40. The Boogs one because of the injury, unfortunately, but again, that was sort of out of their control. But yeah, a lot of variety, comedy, drama, hard hitting, classic matches and all this stuff, big moments and stuff. Yeah, WrestleMania 38 definitely one of the top manias they've done in a while. I really enjoyed it. I'm intrigued to see what happens at WrestleMania Backlash and see what happens on SmackDown as well. But yeah, thank you for watching this. I apologise, I went for 35 minutes for this one. There's a lot to talk about for 2 nights of WrestleMania. But thank you for watching this. Let me know your thoughts to WrestleMania 38, both nights 1 and 2. And I'll hopefully see you in the next one.